Family and friends in agony tonight, mourning the loss of 4 people, including these 2 mothers. They died when the driver of the car they were in crashed into a freight train in Harvey yesterday morning. CBS 2's Stephen Graves spoke to the family of one victim, the mother of a little girl.
As Tyrone Rush deals with the grief of losing his daughter, Taisha Rush, there's even more heart to break ahead.
And I gotta tell my granddaughter, that's the hardest part.
He says right now he just cannot bring himself to tell 8-year-old Taylor.
I keep asking her granddad where my mom and daddy, and I know.
This is what they go through when someone gets shot too. They still have to tell the child. That's why I wanted to, look at this story, man, because this is what happens. People have regular tragedies to deal with in the community, in the stand. There's regular tragedies that people deal with on all the time on a regular basis. And they got to deal with, like, son violence that no other community got to deal with nearly at a level even nearly close. Even at a level of 0.25%. The closest are the Hombritos. They got probably 1/4 of what we do. But other groups, Crouching Tigers and Cloud, they don't deal with that stuff nearly as much. And some people got to deal with this, and they got to duck stray bullets, and they got to worry about carjackers, and they got to worry about the club getting shot up, and they got to worry about everything.
And I gotta tell my granddaughter, that's the hardest part.
He says right now he just cannot bring himself to tell 8-year-old Taylor.
I keep asking her granddad where my mom and daddy, and I know.
Taisha was about to start a new job as a security guard next week, but around 2 a.m. Wednesday, she was one of 4 people in a Dodge Durango that crashed into a freight train. Her friend, Jada Moore, died with her son, 23-year-old Xavier, in the vehicle. Jada's friend, Jeremy Robinson, was the driver, who Harvey police say drove through the lower train arm.
Damn. It was that serious? Like, it was that serious? You gonna run through the lower train arm? Listen. And probably Russian probably think, oh, well, the train ain't. You can hear it. Trust me, I know. That bit. Some of y'all might hear it in the background while I'm making some videos. That when the train comes by, they lower those 2 arms, and that sound is loud. That sound is loud. You can't not hear that sound. That. I know I'm doing a bad job making the sound, but. It's like a real loud air horn. Like a real loud air horn. And you can hear it for a mile. Jeez, what a... And if he made that decision on his own, God, that was selfish. At least they died instantly. Because that wasn't like a painful death. They died instantly. God. You're sitting in the car, you sleep, or you're dozing off, or you're on your phone, and you're hearing that loud. You hear that. Trust me, you hear that. And you see the arm down where you can't get by, blocking you off. And dude just keep going, gun it, try to push through. And next thing you know, you're in heaven. Or hell, whatever. Wow.
But around 2 a.m. Wednesday, she was one of 4 people in a Dodge Durango that crashed into a freight train. Her friend, Jada Moore, died with her son, 23-year-old Xavier, in the vehicle. Jada's friend, Jeremy Robinson, was the driver, who Harvey police say drove through the lower train arm. Surveillance video shows the SUV burst into flames soon after.
My head is just really focusing on my niece burning alive in a car. Like, you know what I mean? Like, what was her thoughts? Thinking of her baby, taking her last breath.
Wow, that's a really thoughtful son woman here, man. Very thoughtful son, woman. You never hear this one during the shootings. They never talk about it from that angle. I don't know why that is, but this is a very thoughtful son, woman. We don't see these type of thoughtfulness, the tears, the thoughtfulness in the gazillion murders we cover on this channel. But that's very thoughtful of this woman to consider what her niece went through in her final moments, man. I hit one if you agree with me. We never hear this in the murders, the drive-bys, the carjacking. It's either we forgive, stop, put the guns down, stop the gun violence, or
My head is just really focusing on my niece burning alive in a car. Like, you know what I mean? Like, what was her thoughts? Thinking of her baby, taking her last breath.
So many questions for this family about what the four were up to and what really happened at the intersection of 155th and Halstead.
I'm just lost. Like, she's a passenger, so it's like, who do you blame?
Surveillance appears to show the train stopped on the tracks when the SUV hit it.
wow. So the train was just stopped. It was just sitting there. So he ran into the side of the train. I thought the train was moving. The train was just sitting there, so they wouldn't have heard an air horn. Wouldn't have been no air horn if the train was just sitting there. Was it fog? Was it in rain? It didn't say it was raining. It didn't look like it was raining. What? This is crazy, man. Wow. Bizarre.
The camera's capturing that crash on a nearby business. The owner here giving us a little bit more insight about this intersection he comes across just about every day. Cruz Rodriguez says the SUV crashed into a flatbed with no crate on top. While the stop arms are down, he talks about the lack of light.
That's why I put more lights here for the same reason, because it was too dark.
Okay. So he said the flatbed. So wow. So that took their head straight off. They didn't suffer. Well, the two in the front seat at least didn't suffer. Wow. They should get their legal team, man, because that's the only thing that's going to make them change this. If they sue, they're gonna. This is a case where you sue for people in the future, so that people in the future can benefit from. Because if you sue them for this, the city, the government, somebody will make them change this, or they're gonna change it, as part of the lawsuit. But you got to sue these people, man, because if that's been a problem for a long time. The visibility right there, there's a train just sitting there and you're driving. Now, here's the thing. Were they speeding? I don't know how you do a toxicology report on those bodies. Those bodies are probably too damaged. I don't know. But they're going to have cameras to be able to tell if they was the velocity which they came into that. Were they speeding? But still. You sue them, and if you don't win, at least they can fix that, man.
You're just mad at the world.
Taisha's loved ones hoping more answers come to light.
Just pray for me and just keep me in your prayers.
For the four families who mourn and a little girl who won't see her mom again. In Harvey, Stephen Graves, CBS 2 News.
CSX operates the train and had crews on scene today. They say any updates to the investigation are now in the hands of local police.
And to think that these people have to deal with the same stuff that everyone else has to deal with. It's the same life things that happen to everyone. And then they got to live in neighborhoods where someone gets shot every day. Maybe that's why the woman could be thoughtful and, introspective about what her niece went through in that train crash, because that probably never happens. But someone getting shot happens every day. In all the neighborhoods. I mean, listen, man. They have neighborhoods in Chicago where 70, 80 people get killed in a year. They had a bunch where 50 get killed. And there's a lot of cities in the country where, you know, you got a neighborhood, not a city, a neighborhood. You got 30 murders. Think about 30 people got murdered in your neighborhood in 1 year. The majority of them were young. This mass shooting, it won't make CNN or MSNBC. Because CNN and MSNBC is like, well, that's just what they do, man. That's just what some people do, man. Let it be a mass shooting in a glider area. They're going to cover it for a whole week. They're going to talk about gun violence. They're going to talk about background checks for guns. They're going to talk about mandatory background checks, ghost guns. They're going to talk about everything. They're going to bring in experts, pontificate. They're going to, the regular show you turn in for your regular programming, they're going to be like, nah, we cut regular programming. We covering this mass shooting in this glider area. Because it never happens. It's like once, maybe 5 or 6 times a year in the whole country. The news flash, man. Chicago will have 70 mass shootings by the end of the year, man. Philly gonna have 50. So CNN, your little Anderson Cooper and Don Lemon and your Rachel Maddow, they already know about you. They like, man, that's just what they do, man. We ain't covering this. We ain't covering this junk, man. They always doing this, man. There'll probably be another mass shooting by the time before the night over, man, somewhere in the stand, man.
CBS 2's Sabrina Franza is live at University of Chicago Medical Center, where some of the shooting victims were sent. Sabrina, what is the latest?
Hey, Dana, yeah, as far as we know, there are at least 4 families who have loved ones inside the medical center behind me. A lot of them just waiting for answers just as much as we are. We were here when one of them got the horrible news that their loved one had passed away. The cries that came outside of the medical center were gut-wrenching. You can actually hear some people, it seems, behind me just waiting for news. I'll take a step out of the way.
Wow. Those cries, man, those cries shake me up too, man. Hearing those cries, man, because it's like those people get that news. It's like man. But by the time they get in front of the news cameras, they have a totally different persona. It's just strange, man. There's a little apathy for it by the time they get in front of the news cameras. But that guttural reaction, Jesus Christ, man. Some people go through so much, man. God. If you want to divest, go ahead and divest. You have my wishes, man. You have my blessing, man. All Sunman athletes and Sunman entertainers have already divested. They've been divested since the 50s, man. Brother get a hit song or get drafted. First thing he doing, getting him a non-sister, moving in a Glacier Glider neighborhood and sending his kids to a all Glacier Glider school. The most Blackistan, anything he'll do from then on out is tell y'all victims and y'all can't make it in this country because of supremacy. But other than that, everything that he associated with is in the glider community. His personal assistant, his agent, his spokesperson, his lawyer, they're all gliders, man. So if you want to divest, man, now from this crap, man, go ahead and divest, man. You got my blessing, man.
One of them got the horrible news that their loved one had passed away. The cries that came outside of the medical center were gut-wrenching. You can actually hear some people, it seems, behind me just waiting for news. I'll take a step out of the way so you can see. They've just been waiting, can't get any information from doctors. It seems like they're waiting on the official emergency contacts or the next of kin to actually get any sort of official notice of how the person inside that they're waiting on is doing. They say the whole hospital is on lockdown. We did speak to one family member of an older brother of a 34-year-old man who is inside the University of Chicago emergency room right now. He had just walked his fiancée to the bus stop and went into one of the stores where you just saw Sade was standing in that shopping center when this shooting happened. His fiancée does not think that any of the victims are connected in any way, does not know what happened other than the fact that he just went shopping after dropping her off.
That's very important. None of the victims are connected in any way. It's not like, oh, there go them dudes that we beefing with standing on that corner that they stand on. And they all connected to that clique or that gang. Let's go shoot them. This was a shopping center. The guy probably saw one guy that they had beef with. Oh, there you go. And sprayed the whole shopping center. And if you was there getting your nails done, or this guy was there picking up some shrimp from the seafood place, or that guy was there going to the Foot Locker, or this woman was there picking up some groceries, y'all all in it. That's the stand. And then they got the switches on the guns. They got the extended clips, so they don't need machine guns. They got the extended clips with the switches on the gun, so they just shooting 40 bullets in like 5 seconds. Without a care in the world. So you got 7 people that was down there for 7 different reasons that probably had never even seen each other a day in their life, all in this hospital behind whatever those guys were shooting at. Therefore, whatever.
Emergency room right now. He had just walked his fiancée to the bus stop and went into one of the stores where you just saw Sade was standing in that shopping center when this shooting happened. His fiancée does not think that any of the victims are connected in any way, does not know what happened other than the fact that he just went shopping after dropping her off. We are hearing from some sources that 2 of the other victims were taken to Northwestern Hospital. If you take a look here on your screen, you can also see chopper video above the scene here. We saw 2 ambulances. It's not clear if they were connected on our way here. They were heading northbound on Lakeshore Drive. We're also hearing that maybe some of the other victims were headed to Stroger Hospital. We did see CPD detectives here on scene outside of the University of Chicago Medical Center. They weren't in the hospital, and then they came right out, presumably to go back to the scene to continue on their investigation. Again, this is on the heels of the mayor's mandate, which takes in effect on Monday, where 2,777 Chicago police officers who are unvaccinated are expected to go on non-disciplinary, no paid leave. Sade was just speaking to...
So did you hear that? 2,000 some odd Chicago police officers are going on unpaid leave because they're not vaccinated. And listen, if you want to say the pandemic has affected the Sun community, it's ways like this. The courts being closed. Stuff like this. Chicago can't afford to lose 2,000 cops, man. They need 2,000 more. They need 2,000 cops, not lose 2,000 cops for any period of time. And guess who knows that? And guess who, even if they don't know that, is going to instantly feel that. Like, hey, man, where all the cops at? Oh, man. And guess what they're going to do? Ding, 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 ding. You guessed it. The violence is going to ratchet up. As soon as you give them a centimeter, not even an inch. As soon as you give them a decimeter, a millimeter, you give the son man a millimeter. You give him you lax up on this criminal justice or the policing for a eighth of a second. They going into war. They going into savage mode, man.
Again, this is on the heels of the mayor's mandate, which takes in effect on Monday, where 2,777 Chicago police officers who are unvaccinated are expected to go on non-disciplinary, no paid leave. Sade was just speaking to another woman who was concerned about safety, saying that the shootings need to stop. We spoke with some officials that are on this leave, and they're saying that they also believe this to be a safety concern. Of course, this shooting is tragic, and we are, Dana, again hearing that one of the victims is unfortunately deceased, and we'll keep you updated as soon as we hear more from the families here on the ground. Dana, I'll send it back to you.
All right, Sabrina, thank you so much for that update.
This appears to be a shootout. I mean, there's several evidence markers on the ground. Broad daylight, 3:30. Multiple people inside, probably the nail salon. This is a big deal.
It's always a big deal. One shooting is one too many. So we treat them all the same. What I would say about this one is, whether it was a targeted shooting or an altercation, it's unacceptable. And we're going to put all of our efforts forward to solve this shooting and bring those to justice that were involved. So any help from the public, whether you saw a car speeding off or you hear someone talking about being involved in this, please come forward with that information. I'll take one last question.
Superintendent, did they shoot back?
No, there was no exchange of gunfire. The street is called South Exchange, so it's a confusing.
Oh, no, I just wanted
yeah.
He said shootout.
No. It was just victims shot, not an exchange of gunfire.
So just one shooter, or were there multiple?
We don't know how many shooters. We do know there was people shooting. We're not sure, but there was not an exchange of gunfire. There was shooting toward the victims only that we can determine at this point.
Can you clarify if the shooting came from the car or if somebody actually got out of the car?
From the car. Clearly, the shooting came from the car.
Superintendent, you mentioned that all the victims were adults. Were they all male? Do you have any idea the ages or any?
We don't have the age ranges yet. We'll release that as soon as we get a chance to talk to some of the victims in the hospital. They're being treated, of course, but they're all adults and they're all male. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it. And we'll update you as soon as we get more information. Thank you.